you might have had her killed already. How do I even fucking know she's still alive? And Cersei's like, oh, would you like to see her? I thought you might. Okay. Bring it, my brother's whore. Heyo, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. As always, I'm your host, Zach. Sitting here next to me is Nate, my brother.
Coming in crystal clear. If you've joined us before, you know that we have spectacular sound quality, and that has not been the case last episode.
John 7.
We're very sorry for that.
Yeah, we apologize. We are still trying to work out some technical difficulties with our new equipment.
And Zach calling in that week.
And me calling in was definitely not helping the situation at all.
We just really like the talk, and so we really wanted to give it to you guys.
But I'm back now, and we're together.
If you have not joined us before, we are full spoiler. We talk about the A Song of Ice and Fire series as a whole. We will spoil every part of it. So if you do not want spoilers, now's your chance to leave, come back, and not have to worry.
If you joined us before, if
episode,
you have joined us before, welcome back. And yes, last episode, the terrible audio aside, we were reading John 7, and Johnny Boy is upranging.
Yeah.
Had freed Ygritte and decided not to execute her as he believed Corran commanded him, but Corran really didn't, just told him what needed to be done. And John, we opened John 7 with him kind of questioning that. He was kind of weirded out that Corran wasn't questioning him about what happened, and he approached him himself, and Corran said, I didn't tell you to kill her, and I'm fine with it that you didn't.
Because she didn't necessarily need to die at that time.
She wasn't really a threat, and I wanted to see what kind of man you were, and now I know.
So then he talks a little bit about Mance with him. That's pretty sweet. And then John goes to sleep without Ghost. And Ghost starts having there's some green dreamy going on here. And warging. And Zach laid down a sweet little theory about the werewood not being Bran, as most assume, as I assumed, and it actually being Rickon speaking to him.
Oh.
And so hopefully we'll be able to find out how that plays out.
Maybe, one day.
Which, I think you have some more evidence next chapter in Catelyn 7 to support that claim a little more. So that's pretty sweet. This chapter, we are reading...
Well,
we gotta finish wrapping up.
They ended up retreating back at finding Ghost injured. They retreated back the way they had came, and Squire Dallbridge was left to hold the pass, and they heard eventually the war horns and the sounds of pursuit, and Corran gives the "they all coming" line.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
The wildlings are on the march. They know the Night's Watch is there. This episode, though, we are going to be reading Tyrion 12. Tyrion is busy preparing for the Battle of Blackwater and Stannis' arrival.
Which is very close. It's so soon.
He's been dealing with the heirs, Joffrey and Tommen, trying to get Tommen secure, which he did at Rosby, and having Lord Giles imprisoned via Lord Jacelyn Bywater, and kept safe there, where plans have been made that even Tyrion's not aware of should the city fall. And continuing just his links and his chains, and him and Shae got into it a little bit, because Shae wants to be brought closer to him.
And she wants to be wearing the most elaborate fucking stuff I've ever heard of. Nonsense.
And Tyrion has been dealing with some pissed off ship people. My phone's going off.
Yes, it is.
And because most of the ships have been commandeered for the war. And so he's been dealing with a lot of that shit. And Helene suddenly has a lot more jars.
Yeah, he found a bunch more. Magic seems to be stronger for the alchemists. They're able to produce stuff a lot quicker. It's pretty cool shit. Yeah. This chapter we open with Tyrion being helped dressed by Podrick Payne, the most badass squire.
For his ordeal, it says, which is actually just dinner with Cersei.
Yeah, I think the key point of this is to point out that this is actually Podrick Payne's chapter, because I heart Podrick, and fuck Tyrion. Podrick.
He's got the first paragraph.
Yes.
Yeah. Tyrion makes certain to leave his Hand of the King pin behind, because Cersei doesn't like being reminded that he's Hand, and he really isn't trying to piss her off right now. And Varys ends up catching up to Tyrion as he's crossing the yard, and he gives Tyrion a parchment with word of Bran and Rickon's quote-unquote deaths.
Yeah.
The news that Theon Greyjoy has mounted their pretty little heads up on Winterfell's walls.
Handled their fucking little heads.
And Tyrion recalls how the wolves had howled when the Stark boy had fallen. Are they howling now, he wonders.
I love how he's he's so in tune with, like...
the Stark.
Yeah, and the direwolf nature. It makes me wonder, like, it's almost regretful on Cersei's part that if she had let Lady live, she might have access to this kind of beacon of what's going on with the other Starks and their wolves.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, because she would probably be howling here as well if...
Yeah.
But she wouldn't be howling because they're not actually dead. Right. So she'd be like, I don't give a fuck, yo.
But Tyrion tells Varys that he wants to inform Cersei of this because he wants to see her reaction. And he leaves him and arrives at Cersei's and settles in with a cup of wine before he silently offers her the parchment. You're being passive-aggressive again.
I am not.
And... yeah, he hands her the parchment and tells her, as she's reading it, says, I trust you're pleased. You wanted the Stark boy dead, I believe. And she scrunches up her face, and she's like, that was Jaime. Like,
Jaime pushed him out the window, not me.
I could have frightened him into silence, she says. And then, which I kind of don't blame her. She says, why must I suffer accusations every time a Stark stubs their toe?
Yeah, I thought
this was Greyjoy's work, not mine.
My life right there.
And then Tyrion says, well, let's hope Lady Catelyn feels it's Theon Greyjoy's work as well. And she's like, they would never harm Jaime. And he points out, why not? What would you do if the same happened to Tommen and Joffrey? Like, and you'd kill everybody.
But I hold Sansa. And he's quick to point out, no. We hold Sansa. And we need to make sure that she doesn't have a single hair on her body hurt.
Right.
Because we know that Joffrey is more than capable and willing to do so. And if that's all they have left. Like, don't fuck with her.
There's an elaborate description of the dinner laid before them, and Cersei set out quite the spread. And Tyrion is very careful to only eat what she's eating. Not that he thinks she would poison him, but you can never be too sure. And the news of Winterfell had soured her, and she asks next for word of Bitterbridge. What word of Bitterbridge?
Littlefinger,
There's been none. And she's like, fucking, I never fucking trusted Littlefinger, that motherfucker.
Nobody
he's
ever
probably
does.
Sucking Stannis off right now.
And he's
Tyrion's like, come on.
He's not Renly. Like Stannis.
Whoa, that's a whole different line. Incest.
No. No, it's still Littlefinger. Like, I'm saying Littlefinger with Renly, not
right,
Stanley
but you
and
said,
Renly.
Stanley and Renly?
Did I say Stanley?
You did.
Stannis and
Stanley
Renly.
again, popping up.
You know, what do you want?
Excelsior.
So anyway, yeah, but Tyrion points out, like, Littlefinger...
Stannis isn't going to take Littlefinger.
Stannis does not put up with that kind of shit. He's like, no, Stannis is going to see him for what he is and be like, I don't care how much money you can bring me. Like, fuck off.
So they talk some more. She says that the pig was provided by Lady Tonda. It's her bribe, essentially, as she begs leave to return to her castle. And she begs your leave as well, Tyrion, because she fears you'll have her arrested as you did Lord Giles. And Tyrion's like, yeah, no, I'd rather she stays here, but she can bring men.
Yeah.
To her own
How
garrison.
about she brings her men here?
As many as she can. And Cersei kind of snappily is like, well, if you need men so bad, why'd you send away your savages? And he's like, because that was the best thing to do with them.
Yeah, he explains something which I think is very Tywin-esque. They served their best purpose right now in the Kingswood doing what they're doing. Running the bodies
around and burning shit, yeah.
They're not soldiers. They don't have the discipline to stay here and do the shit that you expect a soldier to do. So you send them off to pillage and loot and ravage the countryside.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they do more harm than good on the city walls with the wildfire, which is Tyrion's ace in the hole. He doesn't need crazy savage men. He needs disciplined soldiers for that. So Cersei then brings up the Antlermen and asks if Tyrion is certain that he found them all. And he says, Varys says we have. And she immediately...
yeah, she questions his faith in Varys.
You put way too much trust in the eunuch. You think you are the only one that he whispers to? He played the same game with me when I first wed Robert. I was convinced I had no truer friend at court. But now, he says you mean to rid the Hound of Joffrey, or Joffrey of the Hound.
Yeah. Now, I want to kind of skirt back 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Real quick.
That's an interesting little insight.
Do you think that this was Varys scoping out if Cersei was worthy of providing the attention that he shows Tyrion?
A beautiful new young queen, absolutely. Is she kind-hearted? Is she good?
Because I think he was playing the same thing he is with Tyrion, but he sees something in Tyrion that he didn't with Cersei.
Fucking morals.
Compassion, and I mean, he's still Tyrion, and he's gonna do
right. But
Tyrion
there is a sense of morals to Tyrion.
Yeah, and keeping the people safe and comfortable, and so I definitely think he has a relationship with Varys that Cersei does not, nor ever will.
I think that's why, because that's Cersei. She's so
paranoid,
only trusting of herself and the decisions she makes that she and Varys probably isn't interested in her after realizing who she is and what she's willing to do to keep power or maintain power. But I think it's there's almost a bitterness about it. Like you don't trust him because I can't trust him, so you shouldn't. But Tyrion then says that the Hound is needed, more and better needed, leading sorties in the battle that's to come.
Yeah, not protect. And there's no more important job than protecting the king himself. And Tyrion's like, dude, he's going to have like 7 other White Cloaks. He's going to have the finest armor gold can buy in the entire fucking kingdom. Joffrey will be just fine without the Hound there.
Yeah, he needs to be seen fighting. The men will fight more fiercely. And she's like, he's 13, Tyrion. He's like, yeah, and remember Jaime at 13? Like, you want the boy to be his father's son, let him play the part. And I like that line. If you want him to be Jaime so bad, you're goddamn right Jaime would be out fighting in
absolutely.
a fucking battle of a siege of King's Landing when he was 13. And he says, should the city fall, there will be orders given to escort him safely back inside the Red Keep.
Well, the city might fall? Cersei panics immediately about that.
No.
And it's regardless of whether it's going to happen, you want to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Yeah. Is all that Tyrion's doing there, and trying to explain that, saying, hopefully if that occurs, the Red Keep holds out long enough for Tywin to march and protect them, save them.
Which is what ends up happening, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But she says, you've lied to me before, Tyrion. He says, with good reason, sweet sister. I want amity between us. And I've even decided to release Lord Giles, which was his whole point in having him kept alive in the first place. And you can even have Boros Blount back as well. And she says, Boros can rot, but Tommen. And he's like, Tommen's staying where the fuck he is.
Right where he's at.
He does not need to be brought back. And so at this point, dessert's brought in, the sweet. And Cersei asks if Tyrion knows why Varys is so dangerous. And he's like, we're doing riddles now? And
she's like, no, I'll tell you the answer. He ain't got a cock. No cock.
Neither do you, and he thinks. And you just fucking hate that, Cersei. And she says, perhaps I'm dangerous too, but you are as big a fool as every other man. That worm between your legs does half your thinking. And this is when Tyrion's like, I don't like that fucking smile she's got on her face.
Yeah,
like,
and all of a sudden,
smirking
all of a sudden he starts like kind of eyeing the door and like preparing.
Yeah, he starts hearing some shit, and he says, "Perhaps it's time I took my leave." And she says, "Why are you unwell, brother? You suddenly seem flustered." And he's like, "Bitch, the fuck." But yeah, he starts hearing like commotion outside.
Yeah, and he's like, "What are you playing at, Cersei? Yeah. Like, what's happening?"
And she says, I don't depend on the eunuch as you do. I have my own ways of finding things out, especially things people don't want me to know. And she says, I have your little whore. I have your little whore. I don't know why, but when people are fucking trying to insult or antagonize, I hate when they put little. Like, it's not as belittling as you really fucking, like, it makes you sound dumb.
Yes.
Like, and gathering his thoughts, because he's trying not to appear shaken, he says, I thought men were more your taste. And essentially, he's like, since when do you care what I do with my cock? And she's like, it's not your cock that I care about, but a Lannister always pays his debts. And you've schemed against me since you've arrived. You sold Myrcella, stole Tommen, and now plot to have Joffrey killed. You want him dead, so you can rule through Tommen.
And he has a quick little side thought right here. Maybe that's not such a bad idea.
That'd be cool.
Hadn't occurred to me, but
And he tells her, this is madness. Stannis will be here any day, and you need me. Bronze sellswords will never fight without me. And she says, I think they will. It's the gold they love, not your impish wit. But they won't be without you. I won't say I haven't thought of slitting your throat from time to time, but Jaime would never forgive me if I did that. Which Like, I really love the gloves off of this conversation, where there's no more pretense. Like, we don't fucking like each other.
We both want each other dead.
Yeah.
And so, he's like, well, what's happened to the whore then? Like,
the whore, he's trying to act like she means nothing.
Yeah, like, and so, because he doesn't want to reveal how much
full spoiler reread, it's Alayaya, but at this point, he's still thinking it's Shae. He's like, oh, fuck. Yeah. And so he's terrified, but playing it off like she means so little.
And so she tells him that she'll be treated gently and safe, and she'll be not harmed as long as Joffrey and Tommen remain safe and are not killed.
Right. However, if Joffrey is killed, or Tommen should fall into the hands of our enemies, and again with the little, your little cunt will die more painfully than you could ever imagine. Like, man, the little, like, your cunt will die.
Yeah, and so he's like confused, because Joffrey and Tommen are his nephews. Like, he hasn't actually thought, like, he's thought about, Joffrey in, like, a joking, like, that son of a bitch deserves to get just fucking shot in the leg with an arrow.
Yeah.
But he has no ill will towards those kids.
Yeah, he's like, not plotting to kill Joffrey. He's
whatsoever.
Trying to keep him on a fucking calm rule and make his... and
make him a better leader and ruler. But he asked Cersei, like, well, I don't know what kind of man you think I am. And she's like, a small and twisted one. And he right then wonders what Jaime would do in this situation.
WWJD.
For real, dude. And so he thinks Jaime would just fucking kill her.
Kill the bitch.
He would just take his sword and stab her.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I don't have a sword, nor do I have the skill to wield it.
He loved his brother's reckless wrath, but it was Lord Tywin he must try to emulate now. I must be stone. I must be Casterly rock, hard and unmovable. And so he says... You might have had her killed already. How do I even fucking know she's still alive? And Cersei's like, oh, would you like to see her? I thought you might. Okay. Bring it, my brother's whore.
And as the door opens, we slip out of it because we're going to head to our small council meeting real quick. Sneak right on by. Excuse me. Sorry.
And we'll be right back with the rest of Tyrion.
What's up? Welcome to the small council.
Damn, Osfred, back at it again with the white cloak.
Those damn black kettlebacks. Beckinsale.
There's a kettle and it's black, and I'm not calling it that. So, welcome to the small council.
Are you a pot?
I might be.
Wow.
I know.
The small council is not where we just sit here and say stupid shit.
But now you found out my secret identity. I'm Pop Man. Anyway, the small council is where we let you know where you can get in contact with us. Why you would ever want to do that? Who the fuck knows? But to send us inductees and stuff like that, because we do a podcast here. We don't just talk about how I'm Pop Man.
All right, Pop Man, ease up.
Sorry.
I'm coming in as a sidekick, Pan Man.
Yeah.
All right, enough with the Pan Man.
Blam.
That's pretty cool. So we have basically all the social medias covered.
Right.
Instagram @MannersWithout, which also happens to be my Twitter, where I'm very active @MannersWithout. Zach over here is on Twitter @Carstark92.
Right.
We have our Facebook, facebook.com/Brotherhood Podcast.
Pow.
We also have a private Facebook group, which you can gain access to by joining our Patreon. Patreon.com/ oh shit, I better check my note here. Without Manners.
It's not patreon.com/oh shit.
No, it's patreon.com/without manners.
There you go.
And you get some bonus episodes. We're currently researching and compiling our Stannis information because we are putting out a Stannis profile episode.
Yeah.
We haven't thought of a clever name yet.
Yeah, and there's no clever name for it yet.
Not yet. We're working on it. But Stannis profile episode,
A stanalysis. That's
the
best thing I have for you.
On the fly. But join us there. We appreciate it. You can also just send us an email directly. It's withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. If you don't feel like picking and choosing random sites to listen to us, just go to our website, www.brotherhoodwithout.com. What else do we got? You got some stuff. Stitcher, we have our code. You can get a free month's premium trial of Stitcher, code Brotherhood, because we are Brotherhood Without Manners. Coming up soon, we should mention that there's the podcast awards that we've been nominated in.
Oh, shit.
And so we'll have the links to places once they're available.
Vote for us.
I think voting starts in July on the 1st. So definitely vote for us when that comes up.
Yeah.
Check for the links. It's going to be fucking sweet if you do.
Alrighty. I think Is that it?
I think that's going to be it. So you should go listen to the horror talk on Tyrion's 12.
Holy bad transition, Batman.
Wunderbar, welcome back. Here we are. This is us, Zach and Nate.
Wunderbar baloney?
No, I was saying like wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so they bring her in.
Sir Osmond's brothers, Osney and Osfrid enter, and she hung between them. Martin's very specific with the she pronoun here.
Now these words here, actually, that follow it. She hung between them, eyes wide and white in her dark face. Mm-mm. Her dark face. We know Shae is not at all dark face, very pale. Whereas who do we know that's dark face?
The two badass
bitches. Not in any way to,
racial thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
It's just the side there, flair there.
Absolutely.
And she's clearly one of our favorite characters anyway. So badass.
Yeah, they're fucking badass. And yeah, there's blood trickling from her broken lip, and Tyrion can see bruises through her torn clothing. Her hands were bound, and she was gagged, so she could not speak. Mm-hmm. And he just says, "You said she wouldn't be hurt." And
she fought.
Osney just says she fought.
I just picture them like the big dumb doofus fucks that don't. That's about. They are
this
her
image
clansmen.
They're holding her up, and she's a fucking beaten woman. Like, they're scumbags. They're the ultimate goons of fucking King's Landing. And Sir Osney's face, clean shaven, plainly showed the scratches on his cheek. This one's got claws like a shadow cat.
What? Which we just learned how fucking savage those are from John chapters.
Alayaya.
Fuck yes, dude.
So Cersei says, bruises will heal. The whore will live so long as Joffrey does. And Tyrion wants to laugh at her.
Yeah, he is so amused at this point.
It would have been so sweet to laugh at her, but it would give away the game. You've lost, Cersei, and the Kettlebacks are bigger fools than Bran had ever claimed. And so at this point, it's Alayaya. It's not Shae. And so it's a little bit of the callousness of Tyrion, though. Like, you didn't get the right one. Right. So, you didn't get me. You got her. Yes, I want to free her.
I feel like at this point it hasn't quite caught up to him yet, because he's going to feel that guilt here shortly, but
he asks
absolutely.
If Cersei swears to release her after the battle is over, and she says, if you release Tommen, then yes. And so Tyrion stands up and says, keep her, then, but keep her safe. And if these animals think to use her, well, sweet sister, a scale tips two ways. His tone was flat and uncaring. He'd reached for his father's voice and found it. What happens to her happens to Tommen, including the beatings and rapings. And Cersei is like, oh, didn't expect that response. And she's like, you wouldn't dare.
Dare? I'll do it myself.
He just said straight up he will rape his nephew.
And then him.
To play them. No. And that's what he's thinking is, you want me to be this monster, I'll fucking be this monster. But, I'll beat the shit out of him and rape him if that's what happens to her.
Wow.
And, because when he says that, he made himself smile slow and cold. And it said his green and black eyes were laughing at her. Like, he's Tywin here in just that. I control this situation, and how that shut off of just like, you think I'm a monster? This is what Tommen could be dealing with. Mm-hmm. And so she reaches back and goes to slap him again, and he catches her wrist and bent it back until she cries out. Osfrid moved forward, but Tyrion says, one more step and I'll break her arm. And the buffoon stopped. And he just reminds her, you remember when I said you'd never hit me again, Cersei?
And he throws her to the floor.
Get out of here,
just
bitch.
Shoves her to the floor. Like, first of all, he's little half-man imp Tyrion. Right. He's got her he's overpowering her easily. Mm-hmm. And then throwing her to the floor, intimidating these
Osfrid,
who he's their boss. He's really in charge in this room because he pays them more than she does, and he doesn't even have to sleep with them.
Right,
it's wild.
Or maybe he does.
I mean,
who knows what Bran's doing?
No kidding. And yet, she still thinks that she's
in control here. Yeah. And then and I love how it's literally one move. He grabs her arm and just bends her wrist and has complete control over her. Like, that's it.
I know. I've done it with you 100 times growing up.
Bitch. You wish, bitch. You wish. Anyway, Tyrion then turns to the Kettlebacks and tells them to untie her wrists and ungag her. And the wrist, it was bound so tight that her circulation was cut off, so she kind of gasps and he starts to gently massage her fingers till the feeling comes back.
Be brave, and I'm so sorry that they hurt you.
And she just fucking pro-mode. I know my lord will free me, and he promises that he will. And Alayaya leaned down and kissed him on the brow, smearing him with his forehead with blood. And he thinks a bloody kiss is more than I deserve. Yeah, she would never have been hurt.
Now this is where Martin did the reveal for non-rereaders
for Alayaya,
of who Alayaya was
Shae,
and not Shae. And his thoughts right there: a bloody kiss is more than I deserve. Just the symbolism of that, just that red blood streak on his face.
What Tyrion's story essentially is he's a romantic, and it's the bloody kiss. That's all he ever gets. It always ends in blood with him. Shae, Alayaya, Taisha, it always ends. So yeah, it's very, very and then I love, because with this bloody kiss, he turns to Cersei and looks down on her. Yeah. Cersei is on the floor nursing her wrist after being thrown in a heap, and Tyrion looks down on her and says, I've never liked you, Cersei, but you were my own sister, so I never did you any harm. You've ended that. I will hurt you for this. A day will come when you think yourself safe and happy, and suddenly your joy will turn to ashes in your mouth, and you'll know the debt is paid. And she has no better response than to tell him to get out, because that's all she can fucking manage at this point.
Get out! Yeah.
And so he says, I wish you pleasant dreams, does a little bow, and fucks off. And goes back to the Tower of the Hand, thinking that he absolutely should have seen this coming.
Absolutely.
With his recklessness of going straight to the manse, and then, he's been reckless lately. Since the very first time he stepped into the wardrobe, he should have known this was coming. But perhaps he didn't want to look and see that it was coming. He didn't want to acknowledge that he was putting people in danger to get what he wanted. And when he gets to the tower, Shae awaits him nude on the bed.
Yeah, he did have Pod fetch him some wine.
Pod's getting him some wine. It's a rough night. But Shae is just naked on the bed except for his chain. And he doesn't expect her either, which I think is just interesting how much Cersei didn't expect him to retaliate with Tommen, and now he's being like, oh. So there's a lot of things people should have expected but aren't.
And so he's like, what are you even doing here? And she's like, well, basically I wanted to see you.
She's horned up. Yeah, I wanted hands on my titties, and these ones are too small.
And he's like,
and the word titties looks so funny in this book. It just it seems so modern and just slang. But I wanted real hands on my titties.
Yeah, so he worries that Lawless will notice that she's missing.
He thinks, how the fuck can I even begin to tell this woman the conversation I just had, that Alayaya is getting beat and possibly gonna be killed in her place. Right. And then Shae shits all over Lawless.
Oh yeah, she does, dude.
There is absolutely no power in women.
Because she's she's fat.
She's a fat cow,
sleeps.
And that's all she does.
Sometimes she eats until she falls asleep, and then she rolls in it. And then I have to clean her. And then she gets savage. She goes, all they did was fuck her.
Yeah.
What is her problem? And then Tyrion's like, well, her mother says she's sick. And she's like, no.
She's got a baby
She's fucking pregnant, dude. All she did was get fucked.
Yeah, all she did was get fucked. Dude. No sympathy whatsoever.
What the fuck? So, to me now...
Has it been rape between Tyrion and Shae the whole time?
So, I've been... Well, because that's it. She doesn't understand rape, which makes me think she's more of
she's a player.
The crazy right-wing Trump ladies who are pretending that the Me Too movement doesn't work. That's not a thing. Shit like that. She's rape? People don't get raped. People get fucked. Yeah. And they either like it or they don't, and that's their fault. She's making a living off of it, but then does that mean
shouldn't have been wearing a short skirt if she didn't want to get fucked? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So does she just not understand that she has been raped so many times throughout her life?
See, I don't think it. I think it's that Shae is above that. Shae is not rapeable, because if Shae doesn't want someone raping her, she's gonna fucking deal with it. And I think that's the difference here, is that Lawless is powerless. Shae is powerful,
right.
and she's using it. I don't think, as much as it's led to believe that Shae is just a camp follower, just a whore, and that what Tyrion is doing could be constituted as rape because he's really doing it without her consent. It's basically ownership, but I think she's using it as a tool. I think if she didn't want Tyrion inside her, Tyrion would have had a fucking knife in his neck that night. And so
he's got too much money.
I absolutely think it's been willing this whole time, and it's because of this here. Her absolute callousness toward this young girl.
And poor Lawless. Lawless is a simple girl.
Yeah,
like she does have problems.
Yeah.
And so for the fact that she were to be raped as many times as she was.
She's dealing with it, obviously not well, but there's some issues stemming from it, causing her to just eat and grieve in bed.
And she was a maiden still a virgin. Yeah. Like, she didn't understand.
And now she's pregnant.
Like, what the fuck, Shae?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I really think with this that this is meant to be that Shae is not a defenseless whore. She is not Alayaya. She is someone who doesn't. She has no sympathy for the smaller.
Yeah, Alaya's sympathizing with Tyrion throughout this and understands.
I would believe that Alayaya, if circumstances were like reversed, Alayaya would absolutely have sympathy for Lawless. She was just taken 50 plus times without her consent.
Well, and that's
because Alayaya is in the business.
And especially Alayaya and Chitaya, their establishment and where they come from in the Summer Isles, where sex is such a revered thing, prestigious thing, where like you can be a head priest in the religion of sex, and for rape to occur. On her first time as a virgin, things like that.
Right, that's gotta be.
That's just blasphemous, I would imagine, to their kind of a outlook on the matter.
Yeah, and so I really do. I think it's meant to be a comparison. I don't think Shae is at all the whore camp follower. I don't think she is a whore. I think she's a player.
She's not Roz from the TV show.
She's not
who's just
Roz,
there to get laid.
And she's not Alayaya and Chitaya.
Who are make a life and a living powerful there, but they're in control of their bodies.
Shae is a player of the game, and she's
very much Cersei.
She's in it for her own motives, right?
It's cool that we're seeing three of the three powerful women in Tyrion's life right now. Is Shae, Alayaya,
the four
of them, and Cersei.
Yeah.
And for that to get, especially
and Sansa,
in this chapter,
I mean, Tyrion is surrounded by these differently powerful
direct
women.
Comparison of those three in this chapter, though. And to see them side by side interacting with him, it's really neat.
Right. But Tyrion is a little more distracted by how she entered his room.
Fuck,
Show me, he tells her. And she's like, well, Varys made me wear a hood, so I couldn't really see. But I did manage to get a peek at the floor at some point. It was a mosaic of red and black.
A black and red dragon.
A dragon. But the rest was maze-like, and she couldn't see much. And so that's an interesting...
Now, was that anything to do with when Arya was down in the sewers? Was there a mosaic similar to that?
See, I feel like there was something on the ground, but she couldn't quite make it out in the torchlight.
Yeah, sure.
But So, like, was there more light for shit?
Well, yeah, because she would be standing right next to Varys, who's holding the torch, whereas Arya was way behind, and so she might have just felt the tiles.
And so Tyrion goes around checking.
Yeah, he does whatever anybody would do at that point. He's checking the sconce, which he just dumps on the floor because it was just loose. It wasn't actually a thing.
Yeah, no, he does that a couple times. Like, he sees a rock poking out, and he's, like, twisting it.
He's convinced it looks weird, and...
Yeah, I mean, basically what every kid has done in, like, an old-looking library room, just pulling books and twisting stones to be like, this is gonna open, I know it.
I hope so.
And Shae, of course, one-track mind, is like, doesn't my lord want to bed me? And he's like, yeah, in a minute.
Hold up.
And he checks some more, but ends up finding nothing, ultimately. And Shae jumps on him and undoes his breeches and starts trying to fuck him. But
and he can't have it.
Yeah, he can't get hard. He's distracted. He's got too much on his mind. So she asks him, what is wrong? And her face was all sweet innocence.
Written in the lines of a young face, yeah. He tells himself then, though, innocence? Like, she's a whore. And you clearly do think with your cock. You fucking fool. Yeah. You fool.
Fool.
And he just tells her, don't worry about it. Just go to sleep,
child. And long after she did, Tyrion lay awake, listening to
Cupping them titties.
Listening to her breathing, which I feel like that is him. I feel like it's at this moment where he's sort of disassociating from Shae.
Trying.
And not trying, I think it's unintentional. And I think the listening to her breathing, he's associating that with Alayaya.
Yeah.
And, like, Shae breathing, is the whore breathing. Like, she'll be alive as long as I can win this battle and do this. But I think the guilt is sort of starting, and I think that's why he can't get hard.
Right.
Because the idea of
Alayaya
what's happened because of Shae being here. Shae's just being here.
Her
Varys
being there,
sneaking him in.
Is what caused Alayaya to initially be.
And one last question. Do you think that Shae, when he's checking around for the secret passage and Shae's being like, don't you want to bed me? Is she trying to distract him from finding it?
Maybe.
Do you think she's trying to mislead him about where those are?
I feel like if she's as big a player as you're making out for her to be, she knows more than she's letting on about the passageway and where it is.
Like,
no, I don't mean any extra. I feel like she would have paid more attention.
I just feel like that's what I'm wondering is if she did. Because she does note that, like, there was a point where I had to crouch, and I'm pretty sure Varys was crawling,
right.
like, so.
And I feel like she's more aware than she's letting on as to where she came out from, things like that.
Yeah.
So, sure, yes, I do think she's kind of trying to distract him from that, because who wouldn't want to know the passage and keep it from other people?
Right. But that was our thoughts on Tyrion 12. You got an inductee for this one.
Yeah, I see. There's so many. There's a lot of good ones in this one to give it to. I think I want to give it to Lawless just because I feel bad for the poor girl, man. Like
brutal.
The way that Shae's talking, like fuck you, girl.
Shae is a savage in this chapter. That surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah, so I guess I'll bring in Lawless for this one.
I have to bring in Alayaya.
Fuck yeah,
because
that was who I wanted to.
And I think the TV show with Roz, the adaptation was good. The way they played it, where Roz doesn't reveal that she's not the whore either. She kind of plays along inadvertently. But Alayaya just saying, I know my lord will free me. She's standing there. She's got a cracked lip. But she also fucked up Osfrey.
Yeah,
and so,
dude. She scratched
Osney or whatever the fuck his name is.
Technically, there is somewhere I've read that Martin himself has actually put the wrong names in the wrong places.
Yeah.
And so don't worry and don't blame us because the fucking author himself mixes their goddamn names up too,
we got an excuse. But yeah, Alayaya for fucking him up, having claws like a shadow cat, and not fucking coming lightly. Like, nah, fuck you, I ain't going with you.
Yeah, no shit.
So, Alayaya.
Yeah. So we did also get a couple of inductees through our email. So first, I'll read out Sarah's. Hello, brothers. Great episode. Great chapter. She's talking quickly about the chapter she's talking about is this one, but the episode she's talking about was the John one because the sound my kids were kind of yelling in the background.
Oh, the adorable cooing in the background. Yeah.
Here's my inductee for next chapter. As much as I'd like to bring poor Lawless into the Brotherhood, I have to name Alayaya for keeping her cool in front of Cersei and not betraying Tyrion's secret. And because, of course, my BFF's name is Yaya.
Oh, shit.
She absolutely adores Game of Thrones, and we referred to her son as Jaime for the whole duration of her pregnancy. So this is a shout-out to Yaya and her little lion cub. I'm going to kill it, Giacomo and Jaime.
I don't think you killed it. I think
I'm doing my
Giacomo
best.
And Jaime.
Who will probably be very scarred one day when he'll find out that his decrepit auntie calls him Jaime for a strapping young man in some old series. Good night to you and your wolf cubs, Sarah. Thank you so much for writing in, Sarah. We appreciate it. Hopefully your friend will be able to hear your
shout out to
Yeah, which is also yeah. So, what up?
And you the inductee of Alayaya, as I did as well, was great.
One.
We also got an inductee from France.
Yeah.
It's Julian.
It's not a new one. Don't worry, Julian. He says, they're still our favorite French fry.
Oh, it's reloading. There we go. He says, "Hey guys, hope you're doing fine. Just wanted to point out that your joy will turn to ashes in your mouth line. I would have sworn that Cersei had said that in the TV series, not Tyrion. I found it funny to read it from him, as it 100% fits Cersei to say this. It does sound like a Cersei. It sounds, it's a very Tywin thing to say, so. But it was really his quote. Ah ha ha ha. Anyway, showrunners did great with putting this scene to life, in my opinion. I agree with you, sir. Also, I want to induct Maegor the Cruel.
Wonderful.
Fucking brilliant. For all those secret doors, stairs, and passages that Varys seems to know. He's the reason they are here, amongst many more forgotten over time and never found. That's fucking brilliant. Such a good inductee. Have a nice day. Valor Maegoris.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Julian, with the little devil horns, because Maegor the Cruel. I love it. Your inductee was fantastic. Sarah, your inductee was fantastic. You guys You're just fantastic.
Yeah, so hopefully, Julian, this episode's quality's up to your standards a little more. Trust me,
we do appreciate it.
That was below our standards, and we apologize again.
We were very disappointed.
We really liked the chatter.
When we listened to that back, but yeah, we didn't want to. We like the first cut usually because that's the
initial real emotion.
That's a good discussion. It's not fabricated.
We're not repeating what we've already said, so we try to give you our
hide my
first
script.
Hide your script.
But hopefully that will never happen again. Fingers crossed.
I figured out the problem.
We're monitoring it. We are, and
it's solved. It's
ideally,
now...
I won't be calling in from Skype anymore either. So
so we should be all set, and that shouldn't be.
But Julian, we do appreciate you keeping us on our toes because we are creating this content for people like you and, of course, yourself. So you have donated to us. So, of course, if you have issues, let us know. And it hurt. It hurt to disappoint you.
Right in the gut.
But, no, it makes us want to be better. So we apologize, and hopefully that'll be the only time that happens.
So next episode, we'll be reading Catelyn 7. And
her last.
It is her last chapter of Clash of Kings. She's getting the news of the Bran and Rickon deaths.
Yes, she is. And then she's going to be taking some of that aggression out on Sir Jaime Lannister.
Yeah.
Paying a visit to him. And yeah, this is going to be the last bit we spend with Catelyn in this chapter.
Nice, yeah.
Tyrion also has, I believe, 4 chapters left after this. So we are starting to get down there for the final one. So send us in your inductees for Catelyn 7, her final chapter. It's a bit of a lengthy one.
Who's after Catelyn, do you recall? Is it...
No, I don't recall. I think it's Theon.
I want to say it's Theon. That sounds right. Let me take a quick look.
We're going to gander. We're going to take
I don't know your colored tabs.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yours are different than mine.
My colored tabs are different. It is Theon.
It is Theon.
So Theon's next chapter, I'm not sure what number
5
that will
or 6,
be. Yeah,
something like that.
But Catelyn 7.
Get us your inductees
for that, because it's Catelyn's last one. And let us know your final thoughts for Catelyn and Brienne in A Clash of Kings.
Yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
Bella to Harris!
Peace, peace, peace!